Hello and welcome to the Justin Hamilton podcast. On today's episode, Alexei Toliopoulos from his podcast, The Last Video Store, and you may have seen him on his latest live show, VHS, or you may have just seen him on numerous television shows, joins me today to discuss the Odyssey. Yes, we have seen it, and we have some thoughts. For those of you who don't want anything ruined, the first 20-ish minutes are talked about in broad terms. And then after that, we really dig into the minutiae of the film. So I know it kind of feels a bit weird for me to say I don't want to spoil anything, but there are surprisingly a number of themes and stories that apply to this retelling that would be spoiled. So if you just want to listen to the first 20 minutes to get a feel for it, please do so. Otherwise, if you're fine with spoilers and you haven't seen the film yet, you will be free to go through it, but just be warned. In the podcast, I give you plenty of notice as well. So I keep warning you before I unleash all the spoilers upon you. I'm not even going to tell you if I enjoyed it. You'll have to listen to the podcast. Just some quick notes. Alexei is performing at the Comedy Republic this Saturday, which would make it the 18th. He has two shows. The first show is sold out, but his 3 p.m. show has some tickets remaining. So if you would like to go and see his show, VHS, which is a wonderful, wonderful show, I did a little bit of work on it. If you haven't seen it, maybe keep an eye and ear out for specifically the Max Richter part of the story, which was one section of the show that Alexei and I had a lot of fun working on. Anyway, that's at the Comedy Republic on the 18th, which is this Saturday. The 3 p.m. show still has some tickets remaining. So if you would like to tap into that, please do so. And for those of you who think that they would like to support this podcast, you can sign up at Patreon. And for as little as $5 a month, you can get access to this podcast without ads. You can get access to bonus podcasts and to live shows that were filmed and are only on the Patreon site. To sign up for that, head to patreon.com/Justin Hamilton, and you will find a tier that suits you. All the money that is made there goes back into the production of this podcast. Okay. If you're listening to this podcast, I reckon you want to know what we thought of the Odyssey. So what I'm going to do is jump off now, bring in Alexei, and let's talk all things Christopher Nolan. It was hard to get out of the cinema last night because I was dying to talk to you, but I knew we were recording this morning, and it's like it's always hard to recreate the magic of those first comments. And so I hope you didn't think it was rude when you said I'm going to the toilet. I thought, well, this is a good time for me to just leave.
All my friends, you, Adam, Richard, Mulk, running off while I'm holding in a whiz after a 3-hour session. I was not offended. I was not offended, but it was a lonely stroll home. I'd say that. You know, my voyage back to my Ithaca was a lonely one. Fought with, facing my own cycloptic enemies, such as a new quarter pounder burger from McDonald's.
I hope you slayed it and didn't just injure it for it to take other people down. That's my hope.
Let it be known, the burger injured me.
I will, in the introduction, I will point out what we're going to do, but let's speak broadly. And then let's jump into spoilers. But
spoilers for one of the oldest stories ever conceived.
Well, so my friend Victor, who is one of my close friends, who is one of those people who's almost too insane about not watching trailers.
Yes.
Like, I know people who don't like watching trailers, and I respect it, but he's almost like, dude, you got to breathe. My mate Victor,
I'll say I'm in with Victor and Gatesy because I really don't watch trailers, and I've really trained my brain to allow them to evaporate from my mind quite quickly. and
Yes.
to allow them to not have any bearing on my view of the film or what my experience or preconceived notions going into the film would be. So I've
Yes.
barely seen trailers to the Odyssey, and much to my joy, I would say.
Well, I'm a little bit. I'll watch a trailer, and then if I know I'm going to see it, I'll check out. But I find trailers to be important for
Yeah.
specifically films I had no idea about. But
You've seen me in the cinema many times during those trailers. I'm usually talking to my mates if they're around on my phone. If I go to the film by myself and
Yeah.
trailers are on, usually I just keep my headphones in and listen to whatever I'm listening to,
Yeah.
and until the film begins in earnest.
Well, I get that. So, but when I last caught up with Victor and we were talking about the Odyssey, I said, and he hadn't watched the trailer or anything, and I said to him, "Oh, wait till you see the Cyclops. It looks amazing." And his reaction was, "Oh, now I know there's a Cyclops in it." And I was like, "Mate, this story's been around for centuries," and he had no idea. So it turns out you can accidentally spoil something that's really old.
It's interesting because I also think I was talking to my friend Mitch, who I brought to the movies with us last night. Mitchell,
Yes.
the great chef here in Sydney.
You know what? I was recognizing him,
Yeah.
and you don't want to say,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was thinking this morning. We were talking about it this morning as well. And I was like, yeah, I read the Odyssey in school, but it wasn't like a prescribed text or anything like that. It was just like a text of choice for me.
yeah, same.
And then I don't think I've ever reread it. And I was trying to think of like engaging with other versions of it and stuff. And now I really wanted to reread it. I pulled off a version from my shelf that I'm going to reread. And also the Stephen Fry wrote a book about the Odyssey that came out last year. I'm like, I should finally read that after I was sent it as a gift, and I just never read it.
Yes. There's also I'm just looking it up now because I can't think of her name, and it's amazing how badly I spell when I'm on it. Emily Wilson has a particularly good version of the Odyssey that I think has been an influence on this film. And I reread the Odyssey this year. I was like
great.
you. I read it as a kid, and I read the Iliad and the Odyssey. And it's funny. I remember when Oppenheimer was coming out, and I was like, geez, how's he going to turn that into a film? And then I read that thick biography, and I was like, oh, like it's a weirdly thrilling read. And I went, oh, okay, I can see a way into this. And when you read the Odyssey, you go, oh, well, this has all the fractured timelines that Nolan loves. So this, in a weird way, this is actually going to be, from that perspective, an easy adaptation. What was your experience watching it for the first time? Because I had something very specific happen.
I can tell you the moment I fell in love with this movie.
Yes. Okay.
It was the delivery of an act I'm very, very fond of.
Mm-hmm.
I think the moment of seeing him in this film and hearing the way that he delivered the dialogue, and this is an actor I consider to be an expert of finding the tone of the film, and maybe an actor that I would say that can help the tone of the film be created, especially when it comes to language, and that would be John Leguizamo appearing in the film. And I think it was the first time seeing him, and this is based on the most classic of texts, but with the a somewhat bold choice, as I've seen people putting it, of Nolan to use contemporary dialogue and American accents for the most part. I think John Leguizamo, he's got some Shakespeare background. He's got everything. This guy has the background of everything, of being a comedian, being on stage. He's done everything. And I think he just brought the text to life for me, where he has all the look and the appeal of, if this was a classical character, what they would look like, what they would sound like, but he can draw the line between them all. And I think the first second that I saw John Leguizamo talk, I was like, oh, I love this movie.
Yes.
And then I fell deeper in love with it as it continued to go.
I've just realized that talking about this movie without spoilers is almost impossible. So
I think we can talk. I think we can talk a bit about like maybe craft and stuff, and
yes.
then maybe go deeper. I'm still, we're very fresh off this film, so my thoughts are still building, and I think
Yes.
they will continue to do so.
Yeah, so I've organised with Adam Richard. We're going to do now we've seen it a couple of times, podcast, and we'll do that in a couple of weeks. But I wanted to, touch base with you first about this film. Look, let's get to the technical aspect of it. It's phenomenal to look at. It is one of the most beautiful films I think I've seen on the big screen, and it really gets back to a sense of classic filmmaking that you don't see that often in contemporary movies. I thought all the performances were fantastic. I just absolutely loved Tom Holland. And it was nice because I've always liked Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And I think he's really good, but I wanted to see him in something like this. And I thought he was extraordinary because I was expecting to love Robert Pattinson, and he was great.
Oh my God, one of the great modern rap performances.
He's so you hate him so much, but he is so entertaining in every scene.
Yeah,
every choice. The licking of lips, the grimace in the mouth, the jaw. He's got a bit of the Tom Cruise jaw acting going as well, which is fantastic. Anne Hathaway, I'm always a fan of Hathaway. I think she's brilliant in this and gets a couple of real scenes where you can see her digging her teeth in. And, Matt Damon is so good in this, and we've seen him in other types of roles like this where I think he hasn't been at his best. But the film. There's something about the film where, for the first half, I was just kind of watching it and going, "Well, isn't this just another excellent Nolan film?" And then what he's done with the story begins to reveal itself. And as it continues to reveal itself, suddenly you're going, this is why you had to have Matt Damon. Oh, this is why you had to have this actor. Oh, that's why you chose this person. And the revelations of why this film was made now is quite extraordinary. My belief is, you try to work out how did you get from one movie to the next. In Tenet, there's a conversation about Oppenheimer, so it's kind of an obvious jump. But Oppenheimer to the Odyssey is a really strange intellectual jump for me until you see the film. Oppenheimer feels like a movie that explains how we got to now, and the Odyssey is a statement on people right now. And
I think that's beautifully put.
And I think in many ways it's deceptively his most political film.
Yeah, I would agree to that as well. I think that's what it really excites me about it, is that when I think about Nolan, I think about him as really quite an excellent communicator when he's working completely in the pocket. And I think this is the best example of that. And before that, I would have said, Odyssey. Before the Odyssey, I would probably say Oppenheimer and Dunkirk were the best examples of that, where it's just communicating something that is not always literal, but using a language of cinema to communicate something very directly to an audience. And because Nolan, he has these very blockbuster tastes, and he is very good at speaking quite thoughtfully to a really large audience. And I think he's actually doing it in his most artistic way, which is something that I think I had said probably about Oppenheimer when I saw that. Because here, I think what really impressed me most is I don't really know how to put it. I'm still trying to figure out how to say it because it's not like a patchwork style of editing or mosaic because they're not different textures. The framework of the film, but the way that this film flows and communicates through reminiscence and nostalgia, which is something that the Odyssey, the story of the Odyssey and story of Ithaca is nostalgic. But the way that it has like this kind of like layered approach to storytelling where there is past and present tense happening at both times. And there's this kind of like poetic flow between those moments. And it's interesting because I think it's also a quickly cut film. But that is not the experience of watching it. Like there is, you have these moments where you fold back in, and it happens very quickly. But the experience of watching it is closer to, not slow cinema, but it has a patience to it. And a patience that allows you to have those not quite moments of transcendence, but moments of thoughtfulness and moments that allow you to really sit and be absorbed and immersed in the film. And I think that it is Nolan's best translation of his understandings and tastes and visions and interpretations of space and time. He's an expert temporal communicator. You look at Dunkirk. Like Dunkirk is like that beautiful clockwork style of storytelling where you understand how timing is working. He trains you how to watch the film. Here, there is no training necessary. It just flows into you.
Yeah. What a great way of putting it. I saw I've tried to stay away from interviews and stuff like that, but I did see something briefly where Matt Damon turned around to Emma Thomas, the unsung hero of Nolan, and she should never be forgotten when talking about his movies, because I consider them to be their movies. Matt Damon said, "How did you, like, as a producer, coordinate all of this?" He said, "I can't get my head around it." And it was interesting to see this afterwards. She said, "Well, we've made all of these movies." And so, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you know what? While you're watching it, that's the Dunkirk bit. Oh, and that's the Batman Begins bit. Oh, that's the Inception bit. Oh, that's the Oppenheimer bit. That's the Tenet bit." And it's every skill that not only Nolan and not only his wife, but his whole team have built together, and then they put it into this text and created something original. And it is quite extraordinary. And it's funny, I wouldn't say that I was taking it for granted. I was just kind of just sitting there, just going, "Yep, this is great. This is great. This is great." And then slowly things happened that made the hairs on my arms stand up. And it is, I think you're hitting it right on the money with there's a patience to it. And that it moves quickly. Like,
yeah.
It's not boring. It moves at quite a rate. The editing by, what's her name, Jennifer
Lame.
Yeah, who won for Oppenheimer. If you go back and watch Tenet, it's like she should have won for Tenet as well. She's wild at her job.
I was just looking at what her filmography is, and an incredible career. She begins her career as, I think her first apprentice job. Let me just double check it. First apprentice job was on Sidney Lumet's final film, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. A masterful film.
Yes.
And then, goes on to be working with Noah Baumbach and, first kind of critically acclaimed work as the sole editor of a film, or the lead editor was Manchester by the Sea. And this is a master of their craft. And I think the Odyssey is truly one of those great examples of a director and an editor working together in a fluid motion to really create a very powerful experience. Yeah, I'm so glad we're talking about this because nice to be able to put your thoughts together on the record when you're talking with someone.
Yes, yeah, no, I agree. It was like, well, you were my number one person to discuss this with the next day. Hence why I ran away while you were doing a wee. you know, like, and sometimes, like, when you're watching the film and you're
Mm.
seeing them running up and down mountains, and
Mm.
then suddenly you picture Hoyte van Hoytma, you know, holding
Yeah.
those massive cameras to get those shots, and they're out in the ocean, and like, for anyone who suffers from seasickness, I would sit as far back as possible if you go to IMAX, because those scenes are so visceral. I think it could trigger some people.
Mm.
It's you know, even like Gorenson's soundtrack is
Oh my gosh. The score to this film is
unbelievable.
the score, like, it's interesting to see how Ludwig Göransson has assembled such a meaningful body of work seemingly quite so quickly.
Yes.
But then you see a film like this and you see the moving image working beautifully with narration, performance, but then this quality of score as well. Like, this is a really modern score, but not in a way that ever feels, or rarely feels, incongruous to the images that you're seeing.
Yes, and there's a certain point where there's the twanging of a bow,
Mm,
and that launches into, that's the jumping off point for the soundtrack to kick in,
yeah.
and it's like that integration is incredible to perceive. I'm dying to get into spoilers, but before we do, just one last thing.
Mm,
um there's, all the acting's great,
yeah.
all of it. The I thought Elliot Page was brilliant,
Mm.
and gets some really pivotal scenes. Um, Samantha Morton.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Samantha Morton, to me, is the key to unlocking what Nolan is saying.
Yeah. Yeah. As Circe, in Greek mythology, a witch character.
Yes.
And, you know, I hate to speak in these kind of terms, but it's fun to do so right now. I think the campaign for Samantha Morton to finally win a fucking Oscar could begin today, you know?
Yes.
And I think it's what that moment does, what that scene does, what that character does, and that performance does. It does create the kind of like high fantasy mythology of it all. Like, you know, there are other moments that lead to it, like, you know, the Cyclops, where it feels like the kind of Greek mythological fable quality of it. But the moment with Circe, because of that performance, it kind of lifts the fun into the text, and which is the fun of like magic and mythology and high fantasy and adventure. Samantha Morton is able to do that with a lot of elegance and expression of pain and fear, and then it elevates it to a feeling of contemporary commentary as well, which I found really quite exciting.
Mm.
But it's just, to me, it's like the moment of the whole film to have that scene, and you could cut it out like much of the Odyssey, you know, like, I mean, like, the Odyssey is its nature is a series of like short stories, and this could be in a beautiful short film.
Yes, it's an extraordinary moment, and maybe do we need to should we just say we're going into spoiler territory now? Because
Oh, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we could say in the frameworks. But I would just say this is a really beautiful film. A
yes,
really beautiful film that I really loved. I treasure being able to see it in multiple formats, which is something I didn't think I would be doing. But now I've decided, I'd love to see what it looks like on 70 millimeter. I didn't think that I would care enough to go to a session like that. But unfortunately, I have decided that I will be seeing the Odyssey a few more times while it's in the cinema.
yeah.
But, you know, it's terribly exciting. It's terribly
Yes.
exciting, this film, and it is completely Odyssey fascinated me, where I've already laid out some of my other favorite Odyssey texts to to journey back into. Actually, hey, maybe before we get into spoilers, for people that have yet to see the film, what are your other favorite translations of the Odyssey into like different texts and different communications?
Damn, that is a good question. Um, because it's crazy to think because it's so permeated through so many different. Oh, I'll have a think about that. You put me
Maybe
on
we'll
the
save
spot
it
in a
to
good
the end
way.
then. Well, stay tuned to
No,
the end of the conversation.
What's you name you name.
I was thinking about it. The two that came to mind for me last night before I closed my eyes to fall asleep, was Theo Angelopoulos' film starring Harvey Keitel, Ulysses Gaze, which is the story of a celebrated filmmaker returning home to Greece. And it's a very loose, unliteral translation of the Odyssey, obviously, because it's set contemporaneously. But I love Angelopoulos, and the score to that film by Eleni Kaliandrou is one of the most beautiful, haunting scores you'll ever hear. And that was for me a big introduction to art house cinema when I was a very young teenager. And then I would say my true favorite is the poem by the Greek-Egyptian poet Constantine Cavafy, called Ithaca, which is about the journey home to Ithaca. And I think that's maybe my favorite piece of poetry ever.
Okay. Good God, that's two things now I want to consume. For me, the first one that comes to mind is "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Yeah.
Which is such a I'm a Coen Brothers fan, and that is such a delightful adaptation. But I'll have to have a little bit more of a think about that. But that's
have you ever read James Joyce Ulysses?
I tried once and went I got about 30 pages into it and realized that I think I tried to start it during festival season and this has been a bad choice.
I couldn't even read the Supergirl comic you let me during festival season this year.
No way you're taking on Joyce.
Yeah, I've said it to you before, but I took your copy of Supergirl with me across the entirety of Australia.
Yeah.
And never cracked it open once. Always with it, slept with it on my bedside table all year long, and at every bedside that I slept in.
It's done more of a tour than Supergirl does in the graphic novel.
Mate, she's been on her own Odyssey with me.
Let's get into spoilers because I just really want to dig into this. So starting now, this to me was a fascinating revelation to get to the end of this film and realize that this thousands of year old text is a contemporary story about a decent man who forgets his principles and has to find redemption to return to who he was and in the process pay for his sins. And I thought and that's why you get Matt Damon and because
you believe him to be a hero when you first see him, and course. Then you have to understand he is flawed, and then you see, I guess, him grow into the man that he could be.
Well, it's like he is a good man, and then he gets co-opted to go to a war that is based on ego. Yeah, and he gets infected by that, and he becomes a true believer for a cause that is fragile and has a foundation of clay, and he excels in that situation. But there's part of him, like if he'd followed Agamemnon home, but his his fellow soldiers say, "Why aren't we following him?" He said, "I've followed him for too long." So he kind of knows on some level that he is tainted. But you know, he is deeply flawed. He makes many mistakes, and the revelation that Athena, played by Zendaya,
Oh my
who
gosh.
keeps visiting him all the way through the film and giving him guidance and reminding him to remember. And we're thinking remember to get home, but it's remember who you are. And who he is he comes up with the plan for the Trojan horse, which absolutely goes against everything he believes a person should do. You know, he keeps talking about Zeus's law, where you accept people in and you give them comfort. They create something that is seen as a gift that allows them to get inside. And that the Zendaya version of Athena for Odysseus is inspired by an innocent young girl that the soldiers murder in Troy. Was, to me, just the exclamation mark on what a brilliant film this is.
And communicated beautifully through vision as well, where you see it just really just clearly is intercut with the beheading of Athena, literally the statue of Athena in Troy. And I think that was just so cleanly done, just expert communication. You understand immediately that you do accept that, you know, this could be the literal god of Athena that has been speaking to him this entire time, but then in a more modern, contemporary sense, may have been an imagination of conscience communicating to him, but then in the more Greek mythological sense is this feeling of this is the form that Athena has chosen to take to communicate effectively to Odysseus. And I was like, that is, to me, what really sung beautifully about this film, because I did rewatch Troy over the weekend, just on a whim, and
a film that Nolan nearly made.
Yeah, you know, that's how we thankfully got him to make Batman Begins instead, by him not getting kicked off Troy for Wolfgang Peterson. But Troy is it's also an interesting adaptation because it takes a 10-year war and condenses it down to about a week, quite effectively, I'd say. But the weird thing not weird, it's just like the choice that they made, is they made it in one way realistic in that, you know, it's a story of Greek mythology with no gods in it, in any kind of literal or even metaphorical, even like any kind of way. Like, there's just no gods present.
It's closer to Saving Private Ryan than it is to Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, it really is, and it's like that's a choice that they made, and I think it, you know, who's to say if it was a right or wrong choice, but that's the choice that they made, and then to see this one really embrace in a beautiful way the gods and makes it feel real in a contemporary sense, or an even agnostic contemporary sense. But then, you know, the fantasy all feels real as well. Like, it does all that. But then I think the way that Athena is deployed, I think it's really special.
It's an incredible choice.
Very special.
And what I love about the film is that I wasn't looking for that reveal. You revealed something that I didn't know you were setting up.
Yes,
and that's why it hits so hard when it lands. You know, Samantha Morton, her performance, you know, is the key to really beginning to understand what Nolan is and his team are conveying, and that. Her turning all of those soldiers into pigs with her hands.
Yeah. Like clay, being formed out of clay.
Oh, my Lord. Like, it's a real moment of horror. But then the conversation with Odysseus is, you know, I'm here by myself, and these soldiers come in and they're saying they're here for peace. And it's like, you know, of course it resonates with him because he saw what his soldiers did when they got inside of Troy. And then Elliot Page's character, when
Yeah.
he goes to visit the dead, and Elliot is conveying, I was a child when I joined your war, and then you you lied to me, and even though you say you feel great pain, there was nothing there for me to feel that comfort in my dying moments, and you took that away from me. And you can see, as all of these things are happening to Odysseus, and Athena's reminding him to remember, and everything with Charlize Theron as Calypso, when it lands in that final moment, and once again, it's classic Nolan storytelling. He ends on what he set up so much earlier, which is he does it. He's been a decent man who's been corrupted. He's to regain his decency. He can't go back to the life that he lived. He has to move on and continue to honor the dead. And he leaves with his wife to leave his son in charge to hopefully be a better king and learn from him. Is incredible storytelling, and it's something that you wish more people could take on board in their own lives. Of your mistakes don't have to define you, but they should inform you.
Yeah, and like you said before, Matt Damon is perfect for exactly that.
Yes, that scene where he's talking to Penelope as the
beggar,
is his that's his Oscar moment. If you want to put something in, he's so good in that moment. And this film is because it's so visually spectacular. What I mean about halfway through, it starts paying off. All the emotional beats really start hitting. Tom Holland's acting when he sees the beggar go up to the dog that's been waiting for Odysseus to come home. His acting in that moment is sublime. The two of them, that whole scene is...
the three of them, give them a little credit to Johnny Legs up there as well, mate.
Right. But I mean just in that specific
And the four, moment. Give the dog a little credit. The dog was amazing.
It wagged its tail on command. I loved it. But it's the way it all comes together is extremely emotional and I think earned.
I would agree to that. And I think the other moment that felt that surprise moment of feeling a powerful emotion, and it connects to the other theme of the film, which is, I guess, I didn't anticipate this to be an effective as they can be, anti-war film.
Oh, yeah.
Is the moment where, I'm trying to think of how to describe this moment. The moment where Telemachus, played by Tom Holland, is leaving, when he's leaving Menelaus's kingdom, and Helen of Troy, played by Lupita Nyong'o, is saying goodbye to him, and when she holds him, she rushedly and with kind of fear, terror, it begins apologizing for her role in the Trojan War, in kicking off the Trojan War,
for inspiring something that she never wanted.
Yeah, and I just found that really, it haunted me in that moment. And I think that was the other great thematic moment of the film, where it's just you're seeing that this war was an ego-driven war, not even by her husband, Menelaus, by Agamemnon. And and you just think that, what was it all worth for? What was it all worth for? Agamemnon doesn't even live anymore. So I thought it was such a haunting, powerful moment that it's what I've thought about the most since seeing the film.
Yes. It's I was not expecting it to be an anti-war film. I wasn't expecting it to be a dissection of how decent people can become corrupted, but also it also part of my issue with contemporary life is that everyone's complaining, but people don't have solutions. And through this text, he does show that there is a way forward, even when you have made mistakes. You don't have to double down on your mistakes. You can embrace them, and you can learn from them, and you can be a better version of yourself. By the way, we're talking about all this intellectual side of storytelling and beautiful acting, etc. Let's not forget the action is wild. There are a couple of deaths that are really kind of moments, and the physicality. It's like it's an incredibly muscular film in that regard. Like this film's so good. The Cyclops is phenomenal, and I'd read where it's Nolan had said that he'd been looking at he'd learnt from Guillermo Toro that monsters should have empathy, and the Cyclops does. Like there's a real empathy to that whole part of the storyline, and it's once again through physicality that is actually expressed to the extent that you feel sorry for him.
And that, to me, that is the other great moments of this film, is it accessing like Nolan making a horror film.
Yeah.
And like making like a supernatural horror film in the moments where you see our characters visit, I guess, Hades.
Yes.
But then also, the being trapped in a cave with the Cyclops.
Yes.
And just like this really effective kind of creepy horror film. And like you said, it's, having empathy for the creature of the Cyclops, Poseidon's son, just works so well to create the fear that you should be having following Odysseus on his journey through realms beyond man's understanding. And I found that the horror aspects of this film to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, like the way they're shot, what they're getting across. As we said, the moment where his men are being turned into pigs, is like I've never really seen anything like it before. It's the way it's shot, the way her hands are going deep into into their bodies and crafting them into these animals is extraordinary. And the what is it? The Skylar that comes down from the rocks and is taking his men. Is like. I don't know how they did it, but in a film that relied heavily on CGI, that would have. I don't know what they did, but this film, of course, eschews it as much as possible. That thing had real weight when it was coming down, and I think it's through good use of. It's almost a little bit like Ridley Scott and Alien, in that you never quite get a proper view of these things, and it allows your imagination to fill in the gaps and make it more real.
Yeah, and it's like that, I guess, that feeling that Nolan is very, I guess, really tied to is like that kind of like that tactile feeling, like this, that creates this kind of realistic or naturalistic approach to his filmmaking. And I think that's a good example of it, because it's a good example of that, but in a new way he's experimenting within this film, which is like, it looks real and tactile because, one, it's obscure and you don't see it, but also you can't really get an understanding of what it is or how it works. And there's something about that feels very much in line with trying to understand things of supernature.
Yes. And Yes, and it kind of within the context of that world, uh, there is a part of you of that's like, oh yeah, of course this happens. Yep,
Yeah.
of course this is something. It doesn't feel out of the ordinary. The Silver Knights, which I remember from my reading, they were more in the text that I read were more cannibals and
Mm,
a little. I don't remember them being giant knights, but I liked the choice.
mm,
And even though it's shot in daylight, them coming and ripping the other boats apart and
mm.
grabbing the rest of his men is like there's something really scary about it, even though once again it's in daylight.
Yeah. Yeah. I that I didn't remember at all. And but the other one that I really loved, I really loved when we're talking about like this layered storytelling approach. Is you first? I don't know if this is correct, but when you first start seeing Matt Damon Odysseus, I don't know if you meet him with Calypso, but that becomes the framework for the telling of the stories.
Yes.
Is him being, trapped with Calypso,
Yes.
played by Charlize Theron for years and years.
By the way, Charlize Theron on
Mm.
that 8-story IMAX screen, like one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
You interpreted her as a siren. I saw you trying to walk towards the screen with your
floating.
arms held out.
Adam Richard was holding on to me.
He was immune to her charms.
I wonder why.
Yeah. But I thought I really liked that as like this framework. And then, also speaking of the sirens, I thought was very effectively done. Small moment,
Yes, and the description once again, we beautiful use of audio in that we don't quite hear what Odysseus is experiencing, but the description of it being this beautiful song and also haunting, but also part of what the song does is there's the siren song gets to the core of the person listening, and it tells him he doesn't want to go home, and he can't go home because he hasn't reconciled his mistakes at Troy yet, and that's through being trapped with Calypso and the lotus flowers, and her finally realizing that even though they've been happy, he's always had to leave, and she helps him find that understanding.
Yeah.
Is like the more you talk about it, the more extraordinary the film is, and it's he's not stupid. He knows that his fans are going to go and rewatch his films like this guy. But the first viewing you can kind of go, wow, that was great, and it's not until you kind of sit with it. I don't know about you. Last night I was just kind of walking around my apartment a little bit like I just had a perfect meal. I just felt so content, and I just felt so well, I've been looking forward to this film for a year, and once again, he's given me something that not only has met but exceeded my expectations. And one day there's going to be a film that doesn't, but I haven't experienced it yet. And it's funny to kind of think of Oppenheimer as his magnum opus in many ways, and then it's like, can you have two?
Yeah, I think you can have a few masterpieces.
Yeah, I think you can, and it's extraordinary. Are there any other actors? Hamish Patel is really good.
Yeah, very lovely, very very strong performance.
Yes, Mia Goth doesn't get a lot, but you can see why you get Mia Goth, and also classic Nolan storytelling where he loves his callbacks to dialogue.
Yeah.
And when she's trying to escape, when Odysseus is ready to wreak vengeance, your position is down there. By the way, the whole finale, which this is where it's going, is done so well, to the extent that when he finally reveals himself, like I know this is going to happen. I've read different versions of this text, and I still had all the hairs on my arms stand up when he twangs the bow. Suddenly she realizes he's home, and everyone else does. Pattinson refusing to even try to string the bow. It's great. And then
Yeah.
I forget which character that cops it in the eye with the bow. Him sort of suddenly it's Odysseus, and then copping an arrow in the eye. And I have hated that character from the moment he starts picking on the dog. I.
That's Corey Hawkins from
Corey
Straight Outta
Hawkins.
Compton.
Yes, right, yes.
For me, the other one, the performance I really loved, I was thinking about it, was James Remar, who obviously unrecognizable because you don't see his face, but as the prophet of the underworld.
Yes.
I found that to be a very effective use of character and, an actor with an incredible voice as well. I loved that performance. And I don't know if we really talked about it, but Zendaya as Athena, I mean, we talked about the character and its employment in there, but the performance is... She really straddles a really interesting line because she's playing an immortal, and I think she's able to capture a different energy to the other actors, and especially Matt Damon, who she shares scenes with. It just really works.
She's she is ethereal, but also like in presence, but direct in conversation. There's never a moment where she appears where it's not important.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've heard that Tom Holland, got the role, and then Nolan sort of said, "Hey, do you want to ask Zendaya if she'd like to play Athena?" And then, Nolan never gives his screenplay. He always hands the screenplays over and then stays around while people read it. And because Tom Holland's dyslexic, he gave him the scripts to give him more time.
Yeah.
And then Holland went home and sort of said, "Hey, read the script again." And she's like, "Oh yeah, but I've already read it. It's great." I said, "No, just read it again and have a think about characters," because he wanted to get her to play Athena, and I thought she was, as always, just pitched perfectly in that role.
Yeah.
The Siege of Troy is like the dragging, like you get a real sense of the horse being, like there's a real sense of weight to it, and I know that seems like a mild pun, but the fact that we have so many flashbacks to them dragging it in, and the pointing out that men were drowning inside of it, they were sitting in their own feces and sweat, they're sticking the swords in to see if there's anything wrong with it, and not only does it cut someone, they have to hold his mouth and then quickly clean the blood off when the sword is pulled out. It's by the time it's interesting, you kind of can't wait to see what happens, and then you get grabs of it, and then Nolan points out we keep seeing Odysseus's face, and he's confused by what he's experiencing and what's happening around him. And when you get that revelation, it's almost a little bit like, oh, maybe I didn't want to see this.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where it becomes an anti-war film.
Yeah, it really does. I just really love this movie. I really loved it because I think it's just like, this is as good as blockbusters get, It's incredibly well crafted. It's telling a story that is for probably most people is not unfamiliar. Even if you haven't read the Odyssey, I think most people have a passing understanding of at least what the Odyssey means, which is a journey home.
Apart from my friend Victor.
Yeah, or surely Victor knows something about the Odyssey. He has some familiarity. I mean, he didn't know there was a Cyclops in it, so I don't know then. So maybe he's the rare example. But people have an understanding of what even the word Odyssey means because of the text. And so I think that it is, it's communicating something that people are somewhat familiar with, but in a very, very fresh way. Very, very fresh way. Very effectively. It feels very contemporary in a way that works because it it's not trying, it's not overtly trying to feel contemporary. There's just something about it that really it feels very effective. It's thoughtfully made. It's not like profound or intellectual in a way that's hard to understand. It's all very easy to understand. But I think this is like the way that blockbuster filmmaking should be, you know? Like this is what it is. It's something that's really, it's exciting, it's fun. It's kind of like, you know, this is a movie that I could recommend to pretty much anybody, where I really can't imagine having a bad time with this unless you're going in with bad faith.
Yes, exactly. I think if you give yourself over to it, it is incredibly rewarding. I I admire that he Nolan and his wife and team went. We made Oppenheimer that made just under $1 billion.
Yeah.
We have won all the awards, all of them.
Yeah.
And so we have this cachet, and what we can do is we can cash it in. And
Yeah.
and he has a sense of responsibility to cinema as an idea, and I think he has a sense of responsibility to his contemporaries, whether they, you know, he's talked about the impact of Obsession and Backrooms, and like he's a fan of all sorts of movies, and so they've gone, we may never get this opportunity again. So we're going to make a $250 million retelling of the Odyssey. And regardless of the potential folly towards that, we are going to go for it, and we're going to treat it sincerely. And we're going to, this is always my thing when people have kind of pushed back against the Nolan love. And I know for me, a lot of it comes from the type of fans that kind of miss the text that he brings to storytelling. All he wants to do as a filmmaker is give the audience the same feeling he had when he saw 2001, when he saw Star Wars. He's kind of the perfect love child of Kubrick and Spielberg in that he has artistic sensibilities, but he's also a populist.
Yeah,
and he never wants to leave one behind. He doesn't want to leave people behind. And,
exactly.
And I think sometimes he loses intellectuals because intellectuals don't want, you know, a 14-year-old kid being able to tell you the subtext of a film. But
exactly.
But this is exactly what we should be doing in these times, is giving people entertainment that's smart, that they can discuss, that they can feel, and they can take it into their everyday lives.
Couldn't have put it better, Hammo. I think that's exactly what he does, and what he's done here maybe better than he ever has. And it's in the style and feeling and, you know, framework and structure of a freaking fantasy action adventure film.
Yes, it's like, and it doesn't, you know, deviate from that as well. It's not like, you know, as I said,
it's not like going, the Cyclops is actually this thing. It's like, no, the Cyclops is a giant monster that ate their heads and spat out their helmets. You know, it's like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is 100% that. I should let you go because I know you've got a lot to do, but I just need to also say I love Travis Scott as the Bard. I thought that was great. And
I'm not that familiar with him, like, in any way, but I was like, that's kind of cool.
yeah, I liked all of that, and it's a good way of showing you that the myth of Odysseus has superseded the man.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's interesting that when Odysseus talks about hearing the songs, it makes him sad. And it makes him sad because he knows in some way that they're not true. But also, I'm a big fan of this guy. Seeing Bernthal on the big screen was fantastic. And you know, I've seen most of his acting I've seen on the small screen, so it was good to see him on the big screen and looking like he should be there for all time with all of the other actors. I thought he was great, and he has a physicality that is unbelievable. Bill Irwin as the Cyclops is unbelievable as well. Like
It just
you
looks
have real
fantastic.
you have such empathy for that creature,
Yeah.
even though you really don't want Odysseus to be eaten. But yeah, what an extraordinary performance. And I have to specifically mention Anne Hathaway
Yeah.
when she really dresses down her son. Is like when she says, you're going to be the king. I've been sitting on this
Yeah.
for 20 years, but because of tradition, I'm not allowed to be, the person in charge, and you are still a child. All great.
Yeah.
Just all great.
Really cool movie. Really, I can't wait to watch it again, because I think that, I begun this talk by saying, like, I had no intentions of going to see it multiple times. I only saw Oppenheimer once in the cinema.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I see you at the one time you saw it?
Yes, yeah, because
Right.
I could only I wanted to go see that 70 mil, and
Yeah.
you were leaving as I was entering. And we had like an unplanned half-hour hangout as
Yeah.
you were heading off and I was heading in.
Yeah.
Who I went to go see with my friend Mitch, who saw Odyssey with me yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just did not have any plans to go see it multiple times, and no real excitement for the film, like, anticipatory excitement. I mean, like, I was like, oh, I will see it, and I probably will enjoy it. But now I'm like, no, I really want to have that experience of seeing that film again.
It's almost like, I think this is kind of what I was alluding to about halfway through the film. It's almost like sometimes so the TV series Mad Men to me
Yeah.
is like, there's other series that I've enjoyed more, but to me Mad Men from the first episode to the last episode is the most even series I think I've ever watched.
Yeah.
And some people started to criticize the TV show around season 6, but I reckon it was because it still was excellent.
Yeah.
And you don't know what to do with that. And I think halfway through this film, it's not that I wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't that I was captivated, but halfway through the film, I was thinking, this is another excellent Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
And then it soars, and it's almost like, another Nolan film. Oh yeah, it's all, oh yeah, he's going big. Oh yeah, all right, no worries. And then you go, and it's just a reminder, hey, he just wants to entertain you. And he and his team have not only done that, but they've, you thought you were coming in for a nice juicy burger, and he's given you a 3-course meal that you will be thinking about for a long time afterwards.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
I am going to see this 11:37 times.
Wow. That's almost 11:38, George Lucas's favorite number.
Out of respect, I went one less for George. Is there anything else that we need to touch on? I feel like...
Oh gosh, I reckon go see it on a big screen. Just try and see it in a fun format, Just go see it in a really fun format, like IMAX or Dolby or Onyx or 70 millimeter. Yeah, and treat yourself. Spend spend a little bit more money to go see it in a format that's a bit more fun and less out of your everyday.
Yes.
Or go see it in a cinema that you love seeing it at, that you love seeing big movies at, Like, if you're in Sydney, go to the Orpheum, go to the Ritz, go see something. Just treat yourself to a beautiful cinematic experience with this film, It's rare that we get films that feel this big and this exciting and this beautiful, that are this fun and this wonderful. Same way that I would have said about One Battle After Another last year, or Sinners. Treat yourself to seeing this in a cinema that you love.
Yeah. And go in and keep the heart open, and you'll be duly rewarded. Alexei, there's only one thing better than seeing a Christopher Nolan film, and that is talking with you the next day. It's just the best.
Well, Hammo, you've to me many times that you don't need to be checked in on because you're guaranteed proof of life in the anticipation of a Christopher Nolan movie coming out.
Yeah.
So I will say, hold that in your heart, as if I am Ithaca. Once the Blu-ray has come out and you've already seen this movie, and the next Nolan film has yet to be announced, remember that I can talk to you any day.
I'm going to write that on the back of my hand so I don't forget it. Thanks, Alexei.
My pleasure.
Thank you to Alexei for joining me to record this podcast. Look, of course, I expected to enjoy this film. There was no reason that I would have any body of evidence that would suggest otherwise. And it's interesting because I think while I was seeing the film for the first time, which is pretty similar experience to what I had with most of his films, and in particular Oppenheimer. The first time that you're kind of viewing it, it is really momentous. You're taking so much in visually, audio-wise, scripting, acting, and as I said, I just kind of felt this sense of real peace when I got home last night. And then the more I've thought about it, the more it's revealed itself and the more it's shown me its secrets. And being able to record with Alexei the day after was a really interesting exercise. And then, Adam Richard and I are going to do a follow-up podcast in about 10 days, and we're going to compare what we think of the film after we've had time to see it a couple more times and really dig into it some more. So look, I hope that when you go that you love it as much as we did, and I hope you get as much out of it as we did as well. I think it's just a movie made by a team of people at the height of their powers, and what more can you ask for from a cinematic experience? Quick reminder that Alexei has his show at 3 p.m. at Comedy Republic this Saturday, the 18th of July. So if you would like to go and check that out, please do. And as I said earlier, if you would like to support this podcast, you can either do it through Patreon, you can sign up to the YouTube page, you can sign up to my newsletter. The YouTube and newsletter are all free. However you'd like to support the work that's done here is greatly accepted. Even top reviews on your favorite audio platforms is really helpful. This is a independent podcast. It has no backing. It doesn't have anyone helping it out. It's just me with my friends. So if you'd like to, that'd be great. But if all you do is listen to this podcast or even recommend it to friends, that's a very nice thing to do. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll be back next week with some more interesting guests. I think Will Anderson's going to be back on Tuesday, so that'll be good to catch up with him again. So look out for that. But I hope you're well, and have fun at the movies whenever you get there. Until then.